So this is what we want our app to look like. At this point, our app looks very mundane, so there's no design really. We don't have this gradient, we don't have things popping up as you see here. So what we need to do is to get it to look like this. Let's go ahead and run this again. This is the app that we're modeling after. So I'm going to say get started. Paulo@me.com. Password. Sign in. There we go. I'm going to say no thanks. And let me go ahead and add an image. I don't have an image here, no problem. What we can do is, let me go back to main here. I'm going to go to Google. All right. So at this point here, I'm just going to go here and do some searching. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's get no thanks there. I'm going to say meditation images. So I'm going to download a few images from Google. Let's get rid of that. Very good. Let me click there. All right. So there's a bunch of images here. Just keep in mind that all of these images, as you use them, these are just for instructional purposes only. So if you want to get this application to the masses, to other people, I would consider making sure that you don't use these images for your final project. So I'm going to click on one of these images. And sure, I'm going to go ahead and find one of this. I'm going to click and hold, and say download. Sure, say continue. I'm going to say allow. So it's going to start downloading the image. It was downloaded. I'm going to add a few more. How about this one? Let's see. That one there. Press and hold, download image, and voila, it's downloaded. Very good. So at this point here, I'm going to go back to our application here. I'm going to go to downloads, and voila, we have those images. I'm going to pick one, and you see now we have their image there. I'm going to say something like hello world, looking really good. I'm going to add my thought here, my second thought. Look at this, it looks way nicer. I'm going to go ahead and save. And of course goes and save. So there's others that I've added for Paulo before, and everything is looking really good. And notice that we have this nice gradient at the top here. Our toolbar is a little bit different and the colors are really good. Okay, very good. So this is what we're striving for. So this is what we are going to be emulating on our own application. Let's go ahead and do that. So back to our project, there are a few things that we're going to be doing to revamp our app so that it looks better, so that it looks something like this. Let me show you. There we go. It's kind of too big here. Make it small like that. So it looks something like this. Very nice, very professional. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create this nice gradient here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's very handy because once you understand how to create these gradients, you can do all sort of things to make your application look even better, right? It's quite easy. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go back to our code here, to our project, I should say, go to res. This is going to be inside of our drawable. So I'm going to click there like that, say right click, new. I'm going to create a drawable resource file. Okay, so click like that. And I'm going to call this gradient BG like that. It's a drawable. I'm just going to say okay. And it just gives us this very simple selector there. But what we really need is actually a shape. So I'm going to say shape like this and hit enter. Now, the reason why I'm adding shape because I want to create a shape where I'm going to actually add the gradient. Let's clear that so we have more space there. So inside of our tag here, I'm going to say the type of shape that I'm going to create. In this case, I'm just going to have a rectangle one. So I'm going to say shape like that. There's line, oval, rectangle, or ring. I want a rectangle because remember our view, our user interface here is a rectangular. Okay, there we go. So at this point here, I've created a rectangle and then I'm going to add a gradient. So there's corners, there's padding, there's all things that we can actually do. So in this case, I want a gradient. A gradient will take in a few items. Let me go ahead and close it down like this. Let me just get rid of all of that and put it like this. So our gradient here would take in a few things, a few attributes. The first one is going to be a start color. The start color is going to be a color that we haven't created yet. I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to say start G color like that. I'm going to go ahead and create it right like that. And the value, the resource value, I have it already. It's going to be pound because it's going to be hexadecimal color. It's going to be 3A1 C7 1 like that. Hit enter, and voila, you can see there is the color. Very cool. All right. And then I'm going to add the center color. I'm going to say center color in the middle. I'm going to go also to colors here. We haven't created it yet. I'm going to create it right now. I'm going to call this center G color. Okay. Create color value, and I'm going to say pound again, like that. D7 6D77. Enter. Look at that. It's looking really good. All right. So we're creating this gradient here, and I'm going to add the end color. Again, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to say end G color. Okay. Create the resource there, and it's going to be pound F FAF 7B. Enter, and there we go. Very cool. But at this point here, it looks great, but it doesn't look like what we want. The reason why is because we actually have to direct our gradient. As a default, the gradient is directed from left to right, as you can see here, but we want it to go from bottom to top. So how do we do that? Well, there are attributes to allow us to do that. I'm going to say angle 90 degree. The moment you do that, it just shifts everything 90 degrees. Now it goes bottom up, which is exactly what we want. Now, if we go to our color, click there, we can add all sort of colors that we want there. As you see, we were adding them, extracting them as we were coding, and we can add as many colors as we want. Now, it's a good idea to always put them here, because then we can reference these colors from anywhere in our code, in our project. All right, so there we go. At this point here, when we have this gradient BG, we can go to, for instance, we can go back and open our layout. I'm going to go to main. Look how plain this is. The moment I go upstairs here, the top parent linear layout here, I can actually put a background. Now I'm going to go into our drawable like this, and I'm going to invoke our gradient. Say gradient, click, and just like that, you can see it changed the whole dynamics here. Look at that. Isn't that great? So we can use this gradient in all of our files, right? So I'm going to copy this, get rid of there, get rid of these colors as well, get rid of that. In our row here, get rid of that as well. Let's go back to our create account at the top. I'm just going to go ahead and paste that one again. Look at that, it changed everything. Journalist list. There we go. I'm going to go to text here, go to the root. I'm going to just add there. Look at that. Looks really good. Log in. We can do the same thing. Now, the whole application, we can use the same drawable. All right. Let's see. Main, we did that. On post, in the back, I'm going to do the same thing. Make sure you go to the root, right? Because we want the whole view to have that color. Look at that. Much better. You notice here, because we changed just one thing, which was the gradient background, the whole application now has a different feel. That is the power of designing your apps. All right. In fact, at this point here, I'm going to save this. Let's go ahead and give it a run. Use that one. This is old, so disregard that. It's processing now. Okay, it's installing. We should see soon our brand new app. It's launching. And look at that. How beautiful is that? Okay, looks really, really good. Now, the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to change the color of our toolbar here at the top. Now, to make this look seamlessly, meaning to make it look something like this, notice here it doesn't even feel like we have our toolbar at the top. What we're going to do is we're going to change this color here so that it has the same color as you can see here. And then we're going to remove this level here because we have this shadow elevation here. We're going to remove that in code so that it looks just clear as that. But we're going to keep the title as well. Okay? Let's go ahead and do that. I already have the colors for our application here. So in fact, I'm going to go to our values. Let's go to our colors. So I'm going to change these color primary dark, and accent to different colors that I'm going to copy from my files. So for my color primary, actually, what I'm going to do here, instead of pasting the same colors, I'm going to use these colors that we already have. So I can actually look at the beauty here. I can invoke this color that we added here. I'm going to say look at this. I'm going to say end color like that. Isn't that cool? Because we have it at the bottom here, we can actually invoke it again within this file. All right. And for my color primary dark as well, I'm going to say color and color like that. So they're going to have the same color. And for my accent color here, it's going to be something different. It's going to be C0CA33, right? That kind of like limeish color there. And I'm going to add another color here, which we're going to be using for our buttons. I'm going to call color. And the name is going to be yellow BG for background. And it's going to be pound FFDE03. You notice that it doesn't really matter if I put the colors or the hex colors in uppercase or lowercase. It all works the same, right? So this should be yellow like that. All right, so we're going to use this. Now, because we are changing the actual colors.xml here, if I save this, if I go to activity here, right away you see that we don't have that issue again because the color is all the same. In fact, if I go ahead and refresh this, in a second here, I'm going to rerun. Look at that. Now it's all clear because it all merges in with this new color. Now we still have this problem here. You can see here, we want to get rid of this because we want it to be as clear as possible. So to be just as if there was no toolbar. How to do that? To do that is very simple. What do we need to do? Let me start with our main activity because that's where we are. Let's go to there and I'm going to go main. Inside of our own create, I'm going to go and say get support action bar that set elevation. I'm going to set this elevation to 0 like that. Now we have some issues here. If I click on that, I'll let the Android Studio to replace with objects require non-null and voila. So I'm going to do this inside of all of other activities. I don't think we don't have our toolbar there. That's fine. Journal list activity, we sure do because we have these on create options here. So I'm going to go to on create somewhere there and paste it all in there. Very good. On create account to do that. Very good. I'm going to save and refresh. Voila. And you can see now everything is gone. And you also notice that the get started button is a different color because we change that color inside of our colors as you saw before. Let me get rid of all of these guys because we have this color accent which is being used in all of our user interface. Okay, so now that we change it, so it's going to change everywhere where we have a button. All right, so click get started. Look at this. It changed. Now it looks like login. We need to get rid of this as well. So let's go to our login. So I was mistaken. Login has to have that as well. There we go. Refresh. There we go. It's gone. Let's continue here. I'm going to say Paulo. acme.com, password, log in. Look, there's nothing there, and even everything now looks like we also have to get rid of this inside of our add post, I believe. So I was mistaken all this time. So let's see, post journal activity. I have to do the same thing everywhere, it seems like. Very good, no problem, we're gonna do that. If you refresh, there we go, it's all gone. Let's see, I'm gonna pick one of those. Hey there, no thoughts. Let's go save. And voila. Very good. It's looking really good. Much, much better, isn't it? Wonderful. So at this point here, we could stop here because everything is working perfectly fine. But there are a few other things that I want to point out and solve before we call it good. For instance, I want to also add here a nice background so that it makes it even better, right? So because we have this Paulo here and this button here, it looks like it's kind of hidden somewhere there, right? So I'm going to add a nice background little color there, and maybe also look at changing some fonts. So just to finalize our application here. But so far we could stop here. Everything is looking great. Everything is working perfectly, and we should be happy. But I'm going to add one more step here just to clean things up a little bit more. All right. Perfect. I'll see you in the next video.